Here we are, 7th of October. And I know I've said many times probably that my plan this year on the plot was to put all this mixed species green manure in and just leave it on the beds to break down over the winter and then compost next year when the compost is ready. But there's a huge problem here now. The best laid plans have gone out the window because the big problem has blown in on the wind, and it's a weed called gallant soldier. And I know exactly, the annoying thing is I know exactly where this has come from. It's one of the plots just up the road here, upwind. So this seed has blown in on this end of the allotment. It's covering 5. These first 5 beds are really bad with it. This is the stuff here. I've just been pulling some out, and believe me, I am sick and tired of pulling this out. It is everywhere in these beds. There it is. It's called gallant soldier, and it is everywhere. And each one of these plants can drop up to 20,000 seeds into the soil, which are viable for years and years and years. Apparently, I've done a bit of reading up on it. It gives off 2 different sorts of seed. One with little bits of hair on that drift down on the wind, and then one with hooks and things on it that stick to your clothes and then they fall off onto your ground. They can stick to shoes, clothing, animals, things like that. It's actually another import. So this is another import that came from Peru and was introduced into Kew Gardens. Thank you very much for that. But the plot responsible further down the road there, it is just awash with this from the front to the back, 2 foot high, covered in flowers and weed now. And this is the problem on allotments, because people just don't care. They go away now and they leave it, they let it set seed, and it'll be everywhere now. But I cannot leave this stuff in my ground because it's going to set seed and I'm going to be stuck with it for 30 years as well. So, change of plan needed. This is one of the worst affected beds, and I don't think you'll be able to see it in the understory, but there are hundreds and hundreds of them coming up in the understory of the vegetation. They're just everywhere. Every time I look, I spot another one. There's another one. There's another one, and another, and another, and another. They're just absolutely everywhere. So you know, they're just all over the bed. So what I'm going to have to do, I'm afraid, I'm going to cut the tops off this buckwheat. There's another one. There's another cluster of them there. I'm going to have to cut the tops off these buckwheat so that I can get down to see all these plants on the surface, because like I say, they're just all over the place. They really are. Look at them all. And then I can pull all these things out, more there. And if it wasn't for these, I would just be like folding all these tops over now onto the soil surface and just letting them break down. And this soil would have been wonderful next year. But I'm going to have to take the tops off so I can get in and pull all these things out before they set seed. What an absolute pain this is. Oh God, they're everywhere. They're even growing in the paths all over, because as it's blown in, it's blown down the paths and it's germinating in the paths. This stuff absolutely adores fertile soil. Even if you break the tops off them, they just start growing again and start putting flowers out. So you've got to get them out by the root. Also today, these bean frames have got to come down now. The Greek gigantis beans. Can you see what Storm Amy's done to them? He's absolutely smashed them to pieces. It's actually broke all the canes that were fixed onto the ends. That one isn't too bad. The next one isn't too bad. This one here, these were the volunteer beans that grew up this year. I've actually done really well off them. We've done okay, but you can see all the tripods and strings and ropes I've had to put in just to hold this thing up. Anyway, it's coming down today because I've got to strip the green manure from this bed as well, so I can get these weeds out. Right, that's the two of the frames down. There's quite a few beans left on there to pick yet. I've had a massive bumper crop of Greek gigantis butter beans this year. It's been wonderful, it really has. The other 2 or 3 frames I've got, I'm just leaving them for now. They are finishing off, although they're still flowering. The beans are finishing off, you can tell, because you can actually see through the plants now where you couldn't before. So the foliage is starting to die back. Now the thing is to get in here now and pull the tops off all this green manure. I'm just going to try if I can. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if this is going to work or not. I may completely have to clear the beds. But what I'm going to try and do is cut the top foliage off, all these longer stems, and just see what's left basically on the surface, what other green manure seed is still coming up. I may just have to clear the whole bed, I don't know, but we'll see. I could still put a sowing of mustard in this bed if I wanted to, because it's still time for that to just about come up. But I do have a bit of compost I can actually put on this soil, so let's give it a go and a suck it and see where we go from here. Anyway, it can all go into the compost bin, can't it? Which is a good thing. A lot of this is buckwheat, these taller stems. There's mustard in it as well. I say I did want to leave it all in. It's a pity, it's a real pity. It's a shame, but out of my hands. Oh, there is loads of this stuff in. This gallant soldier stuff, it's everywhere down here. Guys, I think I'm just going to have to strip the entire bed and pull everything out. It's really bad. Anyway, I'll get some of it done and I'll come back. I'm cutting these off because I don't want to pull all these little roots out like that. I could just rip everything out, but I want the roots to stay in the ground, to break down. So hence why I'm going to have to cut it all. There we go. Chopped it down, cut it down. What is a real shame, a real shame, is a lot of the other seed, green manure seed that went into here, like the amaranth, the quinoa, the dewar, it is all coming up now as the buckwheat is sort of laid down and done its thing. The rest of those green manures are coming through. The extent of this gallant soldier, it is absolutely everywhere, and it's so difficult to differentiate between the rest of the green manure and that, because you know every half an inch there's a plant. So I was hoping I could just go through and weed them out. There's just too many. Seriously, there is too many of them. So it's really annoying. It's very annoying, this, because this sort of weed infestation is just 100% preventable. If people would just come and manage their allotments, just trim down the weed if nothing else, rather than let it get 2 foot high and spread everywhere. It's not just me who's got this gallant soldier on the allotments, it's everyone down this side. It's coming up everywhere, and it's right down these paths as well, that stuff. So I'm even going to have to weed all the paths, pull it out of them. Can you see it all? All the broadleaf stuff in this bed is that valiant soldier. So here we are, this is it here. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 30, and on and on and on and on. It is absolutely everywhere. And the trouble, it doesn't only flower when it gets to a height. Look at that, that's barely 4 to 5 inches tall, and it's got seeds in it ready to burst out. So not only have you got the bigger plants with the kind of overstory, you've got these tiny little ones which you can't see in amongst the green manure, which you're going to seed and then just drop straight onto this soil and be here forevermore. So everything, all the green manure that's still coming up in this bed is going to have to come out now, because I cannot differentiate between the green manure and these thousands and thousands of these weed seedlings that are just coming up. What a pity, what a shame. As I keep saying, it is what it is. Too much to weed, guys. So I'm just going to have to rake everything off. I'm ending up pulling things out by the roots, which I didn't want to do. All the buckwheat roots are being pulled out as I rake it. Just a nightmare. Gallant soldier rant over, for the time being anyway. Another thing I want to say is the amount of ladybirds now on the allotment. Guys, there are thousands and thousands of these beautiful little ladybirds all over, congregating, ready to hibernate. The shed, oh my god, the shed is full of them. They get in and they're crawling all over the windows. They are absolutely everywhere. So, carrots, Eskimo. I'm going to have a look at them because the net hasn't been off since they were sown, virtually. It will be interesting to see how much of that soldier weed is in here. Because of the net, the seed probably hasn't been able to get in. So there's a couple of foxgloves there on the edge. But I don't see any of that valiant soldier weed anywhere in here. None of it. So if that doesn't tell you that it's recently blown in, nothing does, because there's none in this bed, and the beds each side of these carrots are festooned with it. It is everywhere. So there we go. It has blown in. It has damn well blown in. I knew it had. I knew it had. Right guys, let's have a look at this foliage on these carrots and cut a bit of foliage down, because these carrots look humongous, absolutely humongous. That's the weed just from the edge. I'm going to take a little bit of weight off them. I'm going to have to get at these from the other side as well. Right, just get a bit of this stuff off the top here. And we can see what's going on, can't we? That is some foliage. I'll take these off the edge here because they're just going to flop over when I put the net back on. Oh, a lot of fungi just growing on the edge, on the end of this bed where it meets the path. Again, I'd love to see that. Little fruiting bodies, mushrooms coming up. What they like. There we go. Big Eskimos. The nice fat ones this year, that's for sure. They're quite big on the ends where they've had more light. Then they're a really nice size towards the centre. Pleased with them. Yep, pleased with them guys. I'm going to leave the other half to their own devices, and I'm just going to take a little bit more of those them tops off there. There we go. I've cut half the bed back and I've left them there. I'm just going to check what they're like on the end. I think they'll be quite big carrots, them. Certainly that one is. Look at that one. What a beauty that is. And the kind of, that whole back row, I like that. All the carrots on this side, about how far back? Maybe 10 carrots in. They're all that big, and then that centre row are a little bit small. I like the smaller ones there. Then as you go to the back, they open up again because they've just had that little bit more light from the sides of the net. But they're lovely, them. They're absolutely beautiful. No sign of carrot root fly on them, which I wouldn't think there would be. This net just hasn't been off these at all. Just get the net back on anyway. Protect them. Right, all these soldiers that were in this bed that had seed on them, I'll pull them out. I'm just going to leave it for now. But I am going to have to completely clear it. What I want to do is get all these carrot tops here and that absolute mass of vegetation over there into the compost bin. Look at it all. That's just off one green manure bed, huge pile. Then we've got all those bean tops. I've got to get them frames out, untangle the beans themselves from the frames, get them chopped up with the secateurs, pick the beans off and start filling the far right compost bin, which I emptied 2 videos ago. I've taken almost everything down and pulled all the soldier out. Probably about equivalent to a 5-gallon container of wood ash just thrown across the ground. That was a few days. It's really not very thick, it's just on the surface, you can see that. But it's good for the soil, and that's what we've got left. I've left a few of the odd green manure seeds in, plants in. They might come up a little bit, they might not. Oh, look at the fruit flies here. Yes, there's plenty of fruit flies because I have been going big on the apples. This last couple of weeks, well, this last week, it's only about a week since I filled this bin up. It's generated a huge amount of heat. Huge. And it's generated a huge amount of fruit flies as well. Yeah, literally everywhere. What I've been doing, so I've been collecting apples. I've been going around the allotment site collecting apples, just chopping them up in the barrel with the spade, as you do. And I've been layering them in here with a fine sprinkling of wood chip. And I'm just about to, I've actually almost filled this bin in the last week, and that was from all the bean stems, from that green manure that came off one bed, the additions of comfrey and apples. That's kind of all I've been able to find to put in, and then bits and pieces and scraps off the allotment that are coming out. So I'm going to carry on cutting down the tops, just the tops of the green manure, and it's mostly the mustard seed. So when I just get a pair of shears and just roughly crop the seeded tops off, and that can go in the compost bin. Now, regarding clearing any more beds on the allotment, I think I'm going to be okay. I've been heavily going through these other beds, pulling out this gallant soldier. Literally, guys, got hundreds and hundreds, probably 3 of those trugs full of them out. And at the moment I'm on top of them, so I just daily walk around the beds, and when if I see any of the little flowers, they're easy to spot, I can just pull them out, and that means I don't have to strip my beds. So it's just that one bed there that I've had to strip off. It's bare and naked at the moment, but I don't think I'm going to bother sowing mustard in it. I think I'm just going to put some of my sieved leaf mould compost on, maybe half a barrel of that, and then half a barrel of bagged compost, which I made 12 months ago now. And that compost and things will, be consumed by the microbes. I could put mustard in, but yeah, it's already kind of had mustard in. I don't want to grow mustard again in it. It's had mustard and buckwheat. I just don't want to keep putting mustard in the ground all the time. The other thing is that bed I've stripped, it will get a further dressing of compost next year. It will probably end up having potatoes put back in it, because I want to see if that buckwheat has made any difference to the wireworm population, actually. So on the topic of weed seed and how bad it is, on the next video, probably this Sunday, I am going to have a walk around the site and show you some of the allotments that have kind of just been left now. And I'm just going to show you a massive amount of weed that's coming up on them. And you can be able to see for yourself why having an allotment is such a weedy job. It's just a weedy job. And also in that video I'm going to show you some of the allotments which I featured in February last year, and that video was called Taking on a New Allotment. I'm going to show you what's happened to some of them, and then in February next year we'll go back to them and see if there's been any change. Right, I'm going to get them apples in. So when I put a barrow of apples in, it equates to about probably 4 or 5 inches of apples. And then I put a 25 litre pot full of wood chip in. So it's not absolutely overloaded with wood chip, but there's just wood chip interspersed between the apples, so they just don't turn into a big slumping, wet, horrible, smelly mess. So the wood chip just acts like a sponge, and as the fungus gets to work on it, breaking it down, they use a lot of moisture and a lot of nitrogen. They can pull nitrogen from these apples or anything else they need and break down the wood chip. The wood chip stops the apples going into a slumping, anaerobic, stinking, horrible mess, and it's a win-win. Right guys, see you Sunday.